The person who was eating your soul has died. At long last, the relentless drain of your life force ceases. For years, you felt the cold grip of their presence slithering through your veins, siphoning every spark of warmth, every echo of joy, leaving behind only hollow echoes of who you once were. Now, silence. In that silence, you hear the faintest stirrings of breath, not theirs, but your own. You draw in air without guilt or fear, for no longer does a parasitic will lurk in the shadows of your mind, ready to devour every fragile hope you dared to nurture. A funeral pyre for all the toxic whispers and insidious doubts rises from the ashes of their passing. Imagine each word they ever spoke, cutting, controlling, corrosive, ignited and consumed in a conflagration of truth. Flames dance high, illuminating the truth. You were never their property, never merely a vessel for their appetite. With their death, the chains of manipulation that bound your spirit shatter like brittle bone, and you stand free on a field of scorched earth, the horizon unfurling in blood-red dawn. The air tastes of freedom now, tinged with the acrid sweetness of reclaimed power. Feel your heart expand, swollen with dark, ecstatic relief. No more midnight tremors, no more waking to the phantom sensation of ghostly claws at your throat. The parasite's lifeblood, hope, has abandoned them at last, seeping back into the fertile soil of your soul. You are both grave and resurrection. In the silent aftermath, you tend to the wounds they inflicted, jagged tears in your trust, festering sores of resentment, blackened scars that run deep. And yet, as you cradle each jagged edge, you sense something new taking root, a fierce, indomitable life that refuses to bow to any predator ever again. This is your resurrection hymn, a dirge-turned anthem of victory. No funerary tears need you shed. Instead, celebrate with a riot of color in your veins, a defiant symphony of selfhood that rises from the crypt of their demise. Light the candles of your rediscovered passions, music, art, laughter. Let their warm glow carve new contours in your night. Surround yourself with fellow survivors, fellow phoenixes, whose own embers crackle with recognition at your liberation. Together, you will rebuild a citadel of souls, each wall forged from the memory of what you endured and the promise of what you might become. The person who was eating your soul has died, and in their death, your true life begins. Embrace this dark gift of release. Carry it like a banner into the new dawn, and vow that no shadow, no matter how insidious, shall ever feast upon your light again. You were drained because of them. You wore your light like a beacon, unknowing that they lurked in the shadows, circling you like carrion crows. Every burst of laughter you offered, every tender word you whispered into the dawn, slipped through their greedy fingers and vanished into their cavernous hunger. You felt it first as a subtle chill, the inexplicable fatigue that settled beneath your rib cage, like a weight you could neither lift nor name. Mornings arrived as dark tunnels. Even the sun's warmth was sucked dry before it could reach your skin. They called it help, concern, guidance, but the truth was far cruder. With every confession you shared, every fear you offered up in fragile trust, they fed their endless thirst. Your dreams became their playground. They planted doubts in your mind, not for your benefit, but for their sustenance. One whispered lie at a time, they hollowed you out, leaving behind an empty shell that trembled on the brink of collapse. You thought you were losing your mind. You wondered if the drain was simply stress, or the slow, inevitable rust of a spirit worn too thin. But no, look closer, and you'll see the truth. You were drained because of them. Their fingers threaded through your soul, pulling at the strings of your essence until you were little more than a candle burned to its stub. Now, recognize that weariness for what it was, the shadow cast by a predator's gaze. Feel the remnants of your power scattered across the floor around you, tiny shards of hope, courage, self-love. Gather each piece with trembling hands, for they are your inheritance, stolen though they were. Piece by piece, weave them back into a tapestry of fierce resilience. This reclamation will not be swift. The taste of emptiness lingers like ash on your tongue, and there will be nights when you wake, convinced the cold has returned. But remember, their hunger can no longer find you. You have seen the face behind the hunger, and that knowledge is armor. In the hollow they left behind, plant seeds of your own choosing, compassion for yourself, boundaries forged in steel, laughter that springs from untainted joy. Tend to this new garden with care, water it with self-compassion, and let its roots anchor you in a world where no one steals your spirit again. You were drained because of them, but you will be reborn because of yourself. Their voice lived inside your head. For endless nights, you lay awake under the weight of their echo, the constant susurrus of manipulation weaving through your thoughts like a restless ghost. It was never truly silence you heard, but the low hum of their will, broadcast through the tangled corridors of your mind. Every decision you made, no matter how small, seemed to carry their judgment. Your own desires were drowned beneath the tide of their opinion, until you could no longer discern where your voice ended and theirs began. In the beginning, it was soft, a helpful suggestion, a gentle correction. Are you sure you want that? Maybe you should think twice. You thanked them, believing they cared. But care is not carve marks across the wall of your selfhood, nor is it the slow erosion of conviction until all that remains is doubt. With each passing day, their tone sharpened, a reprimand here, a snide aside there, all carefully calibrated to keep you off balance. You found yourself apologizing for thoughts you never truly held, defending actions you never intended. Their voice told you you were inadequate, undeserving, broken. It spoke in riddles and half-truths, a labyrinth that led you always back to insecurity. Your dreams were no refuge. In sleep you still heard it, its cold syllables imprinting nightmares with your failures. But here's the secret you've reclaimed. That voice was not yours. It was a parasite murmuring through stolen wires, an imposter wearing your confidence as a mask. And masks can be torn away. Begin now by locating the whisper in the quiet spaces of your mind. When you feel its press against your skull, do not recoil, observe. Name each phrase, each injunction. You are too much, you are not enough, you are selfish. Let them rise in the open. Then speak back. Counter each accusation with the raw truth of your own heart. I am whole. I deserve joy. I choose myself. With practice, the intruder will falter. The once dominant echo will shrink, reduced to a fading impression at the edge of awareness. In that widening silence, your authentic voice will emerge, clear, resonant, unafraid. One day, you will look back and find no trace of the ghostly voice that haunted your thoughts. Instead, you will hear only your own breath, your own heartbeat, your own laughter, and in that sound lies your sovereignty, reclaimed at last. They fed off your guilt. They thrived in the silent ache behind your eyes, a ravenous echo of not enough that pulsed with every breath. With each misstep, real or imagined, they swooped in to feast, their hunger insatiable, their claws sunk deep into the soft flesh of your conscience. You carried their verdicts like chains. You should have, if only you'd, how could you? Each phrase was a sharpened talon, tearing at the seams of your self-worth until you bled doubt. In their presence, guilt became your shadow, stalking you in every quiet moment. You tiptoed through days weighed down by invisible burdens, the forgotten kindnesses you'd omitted, the words you'd spoken too sharply, the dreams you'd abandoned. Their feast was a dark ritual of your own making, or so they convinced you, fed by the crumbs of misgiving you offered. They murmured that you deserved the ache, that penance was your only path to redemption, that love was contingent on your contrition. But guilt is a parasite of the spirit, and they were its midwife. Observe how they harvested your shame, methodically cultivating an orchard of regrets, where each unripe memory swelled heavy with imagined failures. They plucked your joy like overripe fruit, squeezing out the sweet juices for their own sustenance while you withered in the barren soil they'd sown. Every laugh felt stolen, every moment of peace poisoned by the whisper, "You're guilty of being happy." Now the harvest has ended. In the hush that follows their departure, notice the stillness at the core of your being. No more tremors of remorse, no more skittering accusations in the corners of your mind. The famine they inflicted has broken. The hunger that haunted you dissolves like mist under the rising sun of your reclaimed self. Gather the remnants of your fractured spirit, the embers of self-forgiveness, the scattered petals of forgotten grace. Plant them deep in the fertile fields of your awareness. Tend to them without apology, without one backward glance at the ghostly reaper who once prowled your heart. Cultivate a garden of release, where guilt cannot root, where compassion blooms without constraint. You will feel the emptiness where shame once dwelled. But in that void lies possibility, the uncharted territory of a soul unburdened. Step forward into that open space unafraid. Your liberation is the sweetest revenge, a testament to the strength they tried to devour but could never claim. They fed off your guilt, yet you are the one who stands nourished by freedom at last. They called it love. It was control. For years, you wore their praises like a crown, convinced that their every demand was proof of devotion. "I only want what's best for you," they'd murmur, their voice honeyed with feigned concern as they clipped your wings, one tender apology at a time. Each suggestion arrived wrapped in the soft velvet of affection, subtle pivots toward isolation, tiny reroutes from your choices into theirs until every road you walked led back to them. They monitored your laughter with a watchful eye, hunting for the slightest tremor of independence. A phone call with a friend became a betrayal, a late text, grounds for suspicion. "I worry when you're away," they'd sigh, and you'd fold your world in small, careful folds so as not to disturb the pattern they'd woven. You began to speak in half-phrases, lest you trigger the sharp pivot from sweetness to reproach when you stepped out of the lines they drew. And oh, how they loved to disguise envy as intimacy. Each compliment contained a barb. "You look so much better when you listen to me." Every insistence on shared passwords, joint accounts, and constant check-ins paraded as unity. Behind the curtain of unity, their true desire pulsed, absolute possession. Your boundaries became their battleground, your autonomy the enemy. Yet in the hush of a solitary dawn, you felt the tremor of truth. Love does not demand your surrender. It does not envy your friendships or tally your missteps like litany. Real love lets the other breathe, lets them wander and return, not out of fear, but out of trust. So let this be your severing blade. With steady hands, cut through the velvet ropes of their care. Peel off each membrane of deceit. I did it for you. I'm just protecting you. We're inseparable. Speak aloud the truth they feared. This was never love, but a cage disguised in silk. Feel the rush of air through the widening bars, the urgent song of self-reclamation rising in your chest. Piece by piece, dismantle the narrative they wrote for you. Relearn the taste of decision untainted by their shadow. Celebrate the raw joy of choosing your own path, even if that path leads through jagged rocks at first. Each step away from their grip is an affirmation. You are whole, you are free, and you need no justification for your existence. They called it love. It was control. And now, as you walk beyond the last echo of their chants, know this. The heart that teaches you to soar is the only heart worth trusting. The energetic thread has been cut in the instant the bond snapped. You felt it. A final resonant echo pulsing through the hollow core of your chest. The subtle tug, once constant and unyielding, vanished as though it had never existed. No more did their presence coil around your spirit like a living shackle. The lifeline that tethered your essence to their will lay severed, its frayed ends drifting apart into the void. For so long, you carried the weight of their vibration. Every sigh they released rippled into your bones. Every tremor of their fear coursed through your blood. You became an unwilling conduit. Your energy siphoned in silent currents that left you pale and trembling. Nights were restless highways of borrowed emotion, anger that wasn't yours, grief you didn't feel, guilt that belonged to them alone. Now, the current has ceased. In the yawning quiet, you recognize the space that opened between your heartbeat and your breath. Feel the air flood the vacancy, filling every collapsed cavity with possibility. This is no mere absence. It is the gestation chamber of your own power, a raw expanse awaiting the first spark of self. Gather your scattered force like embers in a storm-racked field. Stoke them with self-kindness, with radical permission to simply be. Tend to the inner flame without fear that it will burn too brightly, for no one stands at the other end to draw from its glow. Let it bloom until it blazes with your true frequency, undimmed, unclaimed, inviolate. The energetic thread has been cut, and in its severance you find your birthright, sovereignty over your own vitality. Step into this newfound stillness and learn to dance again in the light of your own making. You're no longer a host. Feel the emptiness where their whispers once squirmed beneath your skin, the void now pulsing with your own undivided life. For so long, you were the vessel, an unwitting sanctuary for their hunger, their doubts, their demands. Every heartbeat echoed with their craving. Every breath you drew was flavored by the residue of their fear. But that chapter has closed. In the cold hush of your reclaimed body, notice how your blood runs untainted. The intrusive thoughts that bombarded your mind. You're not worthy. You owe it to them. You cannot survive without their guidance. Dissolve like mist before the morning sun. No longer does your nervous system flare at the merest hint of their mood. No longer does your soul shrink to make room for their appetite. Rise to your feet and feel the ground beneath you, solid, indifferent to their appetite, offering you a foundation built not on compromise, but on your own unbowed weight. Let your bones remember their own strength. In each step affirm, I own this flesh. I dictate the rhythm of this heart. I am the sole heir to my energy. Gather the scattered fragments of yourself, the curiosities they stifled, the laughter they censored, the dreams they dismissed. Cradle them like sacred relics and press them to your chest. They bloom again under your breath, hungry for the oxygen of your intention. Nurture them fiercely without apology or fear of drawing their gaze once more. You are no longer a host. You are a sovereign being, your essence your own. Let your boundary rise like a rampart of light, impenetrable to their echoes, reflective of your truth. Stand within it and feel the warmth of your unshared radiance. In this final emancipation, brood on one truth. Hosts may offer sanctuary, but gods alone command worship. You are neither their refuge nor their source. You are the divinity of your own making, whole, untethered, and free. Your spirit feels lighter. That's proof. That sudden buoyancy in your bones, that effortless inhale untainted by dread, this is your clearest herald of freedom. For so long, you trudged beneath the weight of someone else's shadows, your chest a cramped cave where their echoes roamed unchecked. Now the cavern has collapsed, replaced by open sky. Each breath you draw feels as though the air itself rejoices. Notice how your shoulders drop, how the tension in your spine uncoils like a winding snake finally released. There is no more pull at your core, no more tug of war between stolen sorrow and borrowed blame. In the mirror of your mind, the reflection that glares back is no longer gaunt with fear, but flushed with possibility. Bright eyes unclouded by the old manipulator's smog. When you move, there is a new grace to your step. Where you once tiptoed around invisible tripwires of expectation, now you stride across open ground, unafraid of misstep. Even the simplest tasks, making coffee, stepping into sunlight, answering a friend's call, carry the thrill of permission. Permission to feel joy, to make choices for yourself, to exist without apology. Your laughter, when it comes, is unforced, a clear bell tolling the end of their reign, and when quiet settles, it is not the heavy hush of dread, but a gentle, welcoming hush, like the hush of dawn before the world wakes. That silence is not absence, it is proof. Proof that the parasite has perished, that their claws no longer score your spirit, that every fragment of your being now belongs wholly to you. So whenever doubt creeps in, whispering that maybe nothing has changed, return to the simple, sacred evidence. Your spirit feels lighter. Let that lightness be your compass, guiding you ever further from the ruins of control and toward the true expanse of self. God handled what you couldn't. When your strength frayed at the edges and you found yourself sinking beneath the weight of despair, you did what you could, prayed through clenched teeth, offered trembling hopes in the darkness, kept vigil over the ruins of your own resolve. Yet still the storm raged, surging higher than your frail defenses, mocking every plea for mercy. And in that moment when you feared even faith would fail you, something greater took your hand and carried you beyond the tempest. Feel the hush of aftermath. The thunder has passed, and the winds that once tore at your heart have stilled. You no longer clutch at fraying ropes of self-reliance, for a sturdier tether holds you now, one woven by divine hands. Where you tried and faltered, you see the imprint of something surpassing mortal will. In the places you stumbled, you find footprints that do not belong to you alone. There is solace in the unspoken, the answer that never arrived in your own words, the deliverance you could not conjure, the peace that slipped through your grasp time and again. Now it rests within you, not as a prize you earned, but as a gift freely bestowed. Let your heart unclench and receive this grace. It is proof that you were never meant to bear the burden alone. Look back on your broken attempts, the tear-stained prayers, the desperate bargains struck in the midnight hour, and see them reframed. They were not failures, but signposts guiding you to relinquish control. With each offering of your weakness, you made space for something stronger to intervene. In the quiet miracle of your survival, sense the gentle echo of purpose. What you could not heal, God mended. What you could not save, God shielded. What you could not lift, God carried. This is not the story of your defeat, but of faith's triumph. Where human effort faltered, divine compassion illuminated the path forward. Rest now in the gentle certainty that you are cradled by more than your own effort. In every breath of newfound calm, remember, God handled what you couldn't, and in that sacred exchange, your soul was reborn. They can't follow you into this season. Feel the shift in the air, a crisp clarity replacing the stifling fog they once draped around your shoulders. Seasons change, and with each equinox, new currents of possibility whisper through the branches of your life. In the turning toward this fresh chapter, know with unshakable certainty, their footprints end at yesterday's threshold. They lingered in your past like a stubborn frost, clinging to your limbs, freezing your growth with every breath. Their doubts were biting winds, their judgments an endless gray sky that blocked the sun. You wondered if healing would come, if warmth would ever return to your bones. But the earth turns, and seasons shift whether we will it or not. Now you stand at the edge of a budding spring, alive with green shoots of hope, and realize they cannot cross this boundary. Behind you lies the barren winter of manipulation and fear, its icy remnants melting into the soil. Every harsh word they spoke, every demand they layered upon your spirit, has been washed away by the gentle thaw of your resolve. Watch as the drifts of their influence recede, revealing fertile ground seeded by your own intention. What once lay buried under their weight now rises, shoots of self-trust, buds of reclaimed joy, blossoms of newfound courage. They will call to you from the frozen past, familiar voices urging you back into the old patterns, warning that the new season holds nothing but uncertainty. But you have felt the sun on your face, smelled the sweet promise in the air. You have tasted freedom's first breath, and it is sweeter than any bitter apology they could ever offer. Step boldly into the light. Let your arms open wide to the warmth. Let your feet press firmly into the soft, yielding earth. Here, no trace of their cold touch can linger. Their maps, drawn in ink of coercion, are obsolete. Your compass now points toward growth, expansion, authenticity. Surround yourself with the elements of renewal, the laughter of friends who cheer your thriving, the quiet rhythm of mornings spent in self-care, the vibrant colors of passions rekindled. Each moment in this season is a petal unfolding, a testament to your sovereignty. If you glance back and see shadows where once you saw only light, let curiosity guide you rather than fear. Acknowledge the silhouette, then turn your gaze forward again. Your path is lined with promise, not pitfalls, with wildflowers, not thorns. They can't follow you into this season. Their tether has snapped, their hold dissolved. What remains is yours alone, a landscape unclaimed by old ghosts, a horizon unspoiled by past regrets, a heart unburdened and free to bloom. So step into the dawn. Feel your spirit lift as the world awakens around you. This season is yours, untouched by their chill, undimmed by their doubt, alive with the light of your own becoming. Your soul is safe now, reclaim it. In the hush that follows the storm, you finally feel it, the gentle, unhurried beating of your own heart, no longer drowned by the thunder of their demands. Your soul, once battered and torn by their ceaseless appetite for control, rests now in a sanctuary they can no longer breach. Breathe deep. The air you draw is untainted, charged only with your own intention. For too long you lived under siege, each day a struggle to shield the tender core of your being from their corrosive touch. They peeled away your confidence, layer by precious layer, until you believed that emptiness was your natural state. But emptiness was never your inheritance. It was the vacancy they carved out so they could move in and settle, unchallenged. Now the invader is gone, and the walls of your spirit stand intact once more. Trace the contours of your reclaimed self, the flicker of curiosity in your gaze, the soft echo of laughter in your chest, the quiet certainty that your feelings, joy, anger, hope, belong only to you. In this moment, you are more than the sum of their assaults. You are a living testament to endurance, forged in the crucible of survival. Gather the shards of your fractured light, fragments of dreams they dismissed, passions they disparaged, desires they decried. Hold each one reverently, for these are the relics of your true self, hidden beneath layers of doubt they planted. As you piece them back together, watch your soul's mosaic reassemble, a pattern more intricate and resilient than before, each tessera an affirmation of your worth. Reclamation is not a single act, but a sacred pilgrimage. Some days you will walk in blinding sunshine, eager to embrace every moment of freedom. Other days, shadows will linger at the edges of your vision, whispers of old guilt and fear tugging at your resolve. When they come, remember, those echoes belong to an era of captivity. Acknowledge their presence, then let them pass, like drifting clouds that cannot dim the radiance of your reconstructed spirit. Surround yourself with what nourishes you, the music that stirs your blood, the words that uplift your mind, the hands that hold you without demand. Nurture boundaries as though they are tender saplings. Protect them from any who would encroach, water them with unwavering self-respect, and watch them grow into a living fence of peace. Your soul is safe now, cocooned in the sanctuary of your own sovereignty. Step forward and claim the life that was always meant for you, fearless, unbound, and wholly your own. Let every breath you take in this freedom be a vow, to honor your truth, to guard your light, and to never again relinquish the sacred temple of your spirit.